Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Creative Mornings Atlanta. Look at y'all getting up early in the morning. I'm so proud. Give yourselves a hand. I'm proud of you. You did that. And I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't for y'all, I would not have got out of the bed. Like, I can't believe I'm over a morning event. Like, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? Like, I'm not a morning person, but some of you don't know me. My name is Amina Brown. I am the chapter host for Creative Mornings Atlanta. So thank y'all so much for being here. But I don't do this by myself. So I want to ask all of our volunteers that are in the room to raise your hands for me. Some of them are not in here because they're outside and handling all sorts of things. We have a team of about 25 people that help put this event on every month. So I want to give a big shout out to them. Give them a hand, please. Thank you. Yeah. All right, I feel like I have like 1,000 things I'm trying to tell y'all real quick. First of all, did you get caffeinated? If you're a person who needs that in the morning, did you receive that? We want to give a big thank you to Garnett Gals. Also, I want to just do a shout out to all of us from the South because I was like, gal. I can't say it without saying like 5 A's. I don't know how to do it. I was on the phone talking to some of our team members like, what you say? Gal, gal, gal. I don't know how to say that, guys. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it without just a long Southern drawl. So welcome to all of you. If you're new to the South, that's how we say things. We add extra vowels. We leave consonants off when we feel like it. That's what we're doing here. Also, you are here at something that is not just happening in Atlanta. Creative Mornings is happening all over the world. There are over 200 chapters of Creative Mornings. We are just one of those. So it's exciting to think that we're all here getting to be a part of that. Ooh, forgot a coffee announcement. All my virtual people, listen to me. You don't have to miss out just because you're not here in person. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go to Garnett Gals. Yeah, you're going to go over there. Before 12 p.m., you could tell them you're with Creative Mornings. You're going to get a free coffee and a pastry, okay? So go there, do that. Get caffeinated. Don't leave now because it's a great event and you don't want to miss it. But after the event, go there and support those people and tip your baristas. Ooh, child. The people forgot to tip, Lord. Okay, here we go. Our theme this month is critical, and that's interesting for us as a creative community, right? Because when we think about what the word critical means to us, of course, there are certain things that are critical for us as people who do creative work, right? Maybe it's the environment that we need. Maybe it's the people that we like to collaborate. We can also be really critical of ourselves, right? We can be overcritical or overanalyze, right? We can also be people who don't like critique. I worked on a project once where someone was like, are you a person who likes feedback? And I was like, I could hear it. It doesn't mean I have to do what you say. You know? So when we think about critical, we're using today to explore all of those themes. So we want to definitely think about that. All right, next up, we want to definitely give a thank you to our global partner. MailChimp is a global partner of Creative Mornings. They partner with all chapters all around the world, but for us, they are a global and local partner. So we get double the partnership from MailChimp. So we want to give a big shout out to them because that's how y'all eating this coffee and these desserts, okay? Also, MailChimp is putting out a 2022 benchmark report where they surveyed over 2,000 marketing professionals. You can definitely check that out at MailChimp.com if you want to know what other people who work in marketing might be doing. And next up, we love to have performing artists here. So I'm so excited to get a chance to welcome a poet to our stage to further explore the theme critical. Morehouse grad, storyteller, MC, poet extraordinaire, my brother Adon Bean.
Greetings, greetings, good people. How are we? We good? That is fantastic. That is wonderful. I'm going to look at this camera, but I'm also thinking of everyone right here. Okay. I am so happy to be here and to be able to share a couple pieces. And I'm excited about this theme of critical. As Amina has spoken about, it means so much to us as artists. I think about two things. I think about setting. I think about character when I'm thinking about the work that I create. And so this first piece I want to do is dedicated to setting, right? It's also to this setting of this fabulous and this wonderful city of Atlanta. And this poem, that's something I wrote on behalf of a remarkable organization that had an event called, an organization called Seed and Spark. And I was able to work with them in 2019, and I wrote this piece. And I'm excited because it leads into what we'll be hearing from our present presenters as well. But it is a piece called "The South Got Something to Say." And I love this city of Atlanta, but I love it in the way that James Baldwin loves America, which is to say that I love it so much that it gives me the opportunity to criticize it perpetually. All love has accountability. And so I want to start off and just say this about this wonderful love letter to this city and say that we have gathered in this place, all unfamiliar and yet family, all disparate but unified. This is an art church service invocation that has been designed for you and I. This has been written to the tune of Dirty South, to Goody Mob's Fly Away, to a midnight train to Georgia. This is a companion piece written by Pearl Clegg. Long before Andre 3000 told a crowd in New York that the South has got something to say, you can hear our cries rise from deep within that red clay. This has been directed by Kenny Leon, choreographed by T. Lang or Gawaiian Mata drums squalling, captured on canvas by Dr. Fahamu Peku or Charmaine Minifield or Fabian Williams. This city is a siren for the arts, and so many of us have answered its calling. This is all okra and sweet tea, banana pudding and peach trees. We provide the soundtrack to any function, even if that junction is spaghetti. Confederacy Memorial Mountains and mayors named Dre or Keisha. Also a mayor named John strumming his guitar in front of an Eddie's attic bleacher, home of our king, the preacher, the thinker, the dreamer, his remarkable civil rights legacy. We even Habitat for Humanity. You know, we peanut farmer the presidency. This was produced using a 30% film tax incentive. This has been lemon pepper wetted, waffle housed at every exit. Home of the forever inventive, it is a simple glaring fact. Our content has been soaked in the cuisines of Busy Bees and the Beautiful and Mary Max and Fat Mats and Miss Ann's Snack Bar. No counterleaning. This was actually constructed during a 2-hour wait in line at Slutty Vegan. But see, when a city that is too busy to hate somehow starts to find the time, when gentrification can become an act of violence and no one is listening to the victims of the crime, where you can judge a society by how it treats its least, as it is often said, I have seen stranger things here than The Walking Dead. We are a city experiencing growing pains, expansion, and border shifts. Will court companies like Amazon and ironically be willing to destroy a forest in order to headquarter it? But see, try as they might, they cannot condo our culture to death. They cannot beltline our brilliance. They can't Marie Kondo our indigent community. They can't tidy up the house list for a 2019 Super Bowl and then try to leverage our current identity for some future soul. Hell no. This is ATL, ho. Home of the artisan and the educator, the athlete, the author, the painter, the innovator, the culinary chef, the curator, the politician, the preacher, the grassroots activist, the organizer, the leader, the scientist, the celebrity, the farmer, the speaker. It is also home of those kids fundraising. You're not really sure if they're part of a team, but they had every stoplight and an off-ramp, right? This is for every native Grady baby. This is for all of us transplants. This is Olympics 96. LaFace Records. So Deaf billboards. Back when Apache Cafe was yin yang, even then, my friend, we did the damn thing. You see, Atlanta truly influences everything. They branded it so you don't forget it, because see, we focus on creating the culture, not the credit. It is embedded in the root. We do the work. They pluck the fruit, but the entire world knows where to go if and when they want the juice, the sauce. We are the dispatchers of the drip, the high priest of the hip. Whether behind the pen, the brush, or the lens, they come to Atlanta when they want the realness. There is something about this place that makes it safe for the creative endeavor. It is fertile soil for the imaginative and the experimental. It honors the effort. We house Hammonds and Wonderlands and Hollyweirds and Cities of Ink and Stanconias. We not at all New York. We're not trying to be California. We are south of the north, but yet we north of the south. We are a city out of nowhere that's everywhere. Just look around. Our DNA has made its way to every nook, cranny, corner, marketing meeting, boardroom, and block. We've had something to say. And the world has been watching and listening, whether they admit it or not. The South. That was that poem right there. Y'all doing all right? Thank you. So again, I love this place. It has meant so much to me. It has informed so much of the art that I create. And that is what the setting does, right? So the second piece I want to do is a piece I don't do often. It's relatively new, so if I stumble through it, somehow I'm going to blame you. That's just how this works. But this poem deals with character. It deals with people who have been critical in creating my character, critical in constructing me. And that would be my father. He passed away a few years ago, and I wrote this in honor of him. It is called The Spiral. I hope you dig it. Let's see if we can get through this together. They say insanity is to do the same thing again and again and again and yet expect a different result. Call me crazy. Football is like religion where I'm from. And in the name of my father, I was the son learning how to throw a spiral as a child, mild-mannered and enamored with my pops. I mean, he taught me everything. The footwork of the 3 and the 5-step drop, but when it got to the mechanics of a tight spiral, I was told that it was all in the hold, the grip, that the most valuable relationship is between your fingertips, and despite my best attempts to throw the pigskin crisp and tight, I could never, in spite of my efforts, seem to get it right. So when I tossed that ball into the air, wobbly with laissez-faire, he'd say, don't worry, wherever you throw it, just get it up, and I'll be there. And if that is not a lesson in how to show up for someone, then I do not know what is. What a man does for his community, his family, his partner, his kids. William Wallace said that every man dies, but not every man lives. And for every man that tries, I would like to give just a little bit of advice, a little something to hold on to, that perhaps the most revolutionary thing that you can do is actually be here. Be true. Stay firm, planted, long, strong, and in good health. If not for you, love your people enough to take care of yourself. Love them enough so that you'll be here when they inevitably need you. Rest up, get those doctor checkups because that stress can bleed through. Do not let unaddressed trauma in your life be the things that lead you. They say insanity is to do the same thing again and again and yet expect a different result. But is that not also the definition of practice, of exercise, of training? And isn't love like throwing a perfect spiral something we practice, something we exercise, something we rehearse imperfectly? We put in the work to see if we can be better, if we can render ourselves further along, to be better fathers and brothers, better friends and lovers, so that by the time you and I take a knee and we are 6 feet under, we will have shown up for one another in ways that we will never have to wonder if we gave it our all. Believe me, I'm speaking to me just as clearly as I'm talking to any of y'all beyond the stretched metaphors of sports or football. Look, I may never learn how to throw a pinpoint pass, and throwing a perfect spiral might be a skill that I may never amass. But no matter what life throws, I can show up. And that is the definition of a man. That is my poem right there. Thank you so much. Please identify the things that are critical in your life for success. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yo, give it up one more time for Adon Bean in here. Yo. Adon and I have been friends for, I hate to tell y'all how many years, because then y'all be like, oh, y'all met when y'all were 3 years old. But anyways, we've been friends a long time, and it's wonderful to have dope friends. You don't have to be shamed. You know, you can invite them to public places and things you're doing, and you don't have to be like, you know, it's nice to have dope friends. So thanks for being dope, Adon. Good job. Good job. Also, listen, this doesn't have to be the last time you see Adon Bean, because Adon Bean got events in the city, okay? So mark your calendars. You can see Adon at Buteco's Good Night Show in Grant Park, along with Atlanta comedian David Perdue, who has also been on our Creative Morning stage. That is September 9th at 9 p.m. And you know what? That's free. Don't y'all love free stuff? Y'all here. So I know you like free stuff. Go to that. That's free. Next, also, Adon is hosting an open mic on September 13th at the Southern Feed Store in East Atlanta Village at 8 p.m. Go to there. Go to there for a solo date. Grab somebody else. Get a boo. Do whatever you like to do. But go to there because it's free. Support our artists. Thank you, Adon. That's amazing. We also want to thank our local partners. We want to give a big shout out to Gene Kansas Commercial Real Estate. And I think Gene is in the building. Gene, will you just raise your hand for us a little bit? Gene is actually back here in person here with us. Gene Kansas Commercial Real Estate has been such a wonderful local partner for us. We meet at Constellations every month as a team and eat Revolution Donuts, because why wouldn't we do that? And also, the Gene Kansas team is responsible for connecting us to Moda, and Moda has also been a wonderful partner for us as well. So you want to check out all the things that Gene Kansas Commercial Real Estate is doing. I want to give a big old thank you to Moda. Moda has been our venue partner all this year. Would y'all give a hand for me to Moda and the Moda team? Thank y'all so much. They let us come in here and rearrange all this stuff and eat food in here. We just appreciate their team so, so much. And MODA stands for the Museum of Design Atlanta. I tried to add a lot of letters inside of there first. I was like, Museum of Design Art. Nope, that's not right. It's Museum of Design Atlanta, y'all. And you should come back. If you haven't checked out the exhibit that's here, make sure you do that before you leave. You can also have your own events here. It's a party, it's a corporate function. You can do it right here at MODA, people. You can do it in here. You got this room over there. You got a lot of options. And listen, any Creative Mornings attendee who books a meeting or event at MODA by September 15th will receive 15% off their room rental. Don't you love a discount? Don't you? Get involved, guys. Thank you so much to Moda. Moda's been amazing. Can I just give a shout out to the executive director? Laura is here. Laura, will you wave for the people? Moda's executive director is here. Yes. Make sure you stay connected to that. I want to give a shout out to our video partner, all of the people you see here working on this video. If you've ever watched our live stream, it looks amazing because of Off the Record. Yes, if you want crispy video content, these are the people you want to see for a fee. All right, now, we love a fee. Yes. Okay, let's talk about our next events. So those of you that are our OG folks, you remember that we were an only morning event before the pandemic. But now we do Creative Mornings and Creative at Night. In September, our theme is depth. And I can't give y'all all the details yet, but I will tell you we are doing a cooking class next month. So it will be very limited attendance. So there will be a small number of tickets available, but we are like chomping at the bit to be able to tell y'all the rest of that, but please mark your calendars for September 29th. We will be doing a cooking class. It's going to be very fabulous. Also, we are switching up our venue to close out our morning events for the year. Our last morning event for the year is October, and I'm excited to announce to y'all that Center for Puppetry Arts will be hosting us for October. So everything will be puppetry themed. You want to be in the building. You do. So mark your calendar. That's last Thursday of September, September 29th, and last Friday of October is October 29th. So those are our next couple of events for you. Check out all those things. All right, y'all, this has been a long time coming. Our speakers that we're about to have today, I'm so excited that you are going to get a chance to hear from the co-founders of Atlanta Influences Everything. How many of you are familiar with Atlanta Influences Everything? Yes, everybody here, you should be. Atlanta Influences Everything is a civic-minded creative consultancy focused on combining civic, corporate, commerce, and cultural understanding to create unique and authentic relationships that lead to better community building. I want to bring up Bame and Tory, who are here. Y'all show your love for our co-founders today. All right, we in there. So we're going to be in conversation today. We're going to talk a little bit, and I have a few questions. And then we're going to give some questions, opportunities for anyone that's out here in person, as well as our people that are virtual. So if you have questions, those of us that are watching us on YouTube, make sure you comment in the chat, and I will do my best to get Bame and Tory to answer your questions. So I'm so excited to have y'all here. This is a big deal for us, yo. Like, I'm a big fan of Atlanta Influences Everything. Like, when I, living here for over 20 years, when I saw the brand the first time, I was like, yes, who did this? This is amazing, because we do influence everything. We do, it's true. So I want to start out hearing your Atlanta origin stories. I want you to tell me if you from here, born and raised here, if other things brought you to the city. I want to start with you, Bame. What brought you here to Atlanta?
My mother and father, they they had me here. Well, let's be specific in post-Amaretta society. I was conceived in Atlanta and born in a hospital in Douglasville. My mom wanted a natural birth. They weren't doing them at Grady. She was actually a social worker at Grady at the time, but had to be had in Douglasville because that's where you could do natural births at the time. Same hospital Kanye was born in, actually. You know, I'm first generation. I'm 43, so I made the old Atlanta cut, but I am first generation. My dad is from New Haven, Connecticut. My mom is from Columbus, Georgia. They met at Atlanta University, Master's School of Social Work, and was raised in the West End. So that's, and then, you know, the uniqueness of my upbringing in Atlanta, I didn't go to school in my neighborhood. We're a city of neighborhoods, and your school is normally linked to your neighborhood. I caught this program called M2M, where people in the metro area know this program, called Minority to Majority. So if you know where the West End is at, near Spelman and Morehouse, And disclaimer, later on you'll see that I think majority of this audience is probably not from here. I've learned to not assume that y'all know what natives are talking about. So I give context. So West End near Morehouse and Spelman, but Garden Hills, Sutton, and North Atlanta High School in Buckhead. So I was bused elementary through high school across Atlanta and back, which leads to my particular origin story that might be a little different than other natives.
Tory, tell us about your Atlanta origin story.
Oh wow. Cord is stuck here. And I was worrying about my feet. Dang. They being too short.
You good, you good.
The cord was too short. So, my origin story, well, it started for me at 12 years old. I came in, visited Atlanta. My father is from South Georgia, so I spent a lot of summers there. And he had one sister that lived in Decatur. I thought it was Atlanta. And we came, I visited, I believe my sister was going to summer school at Morehouse. And my sister's husband is from Adamsville. So we came down to visit her. We went to South Georgia, came to visit her in Atlanta over the summer, and we met because she was staying at my aunt's house because she lived in Atlanta or Decatur. And met my brother-in-law, but I'd never seen anything like Atlanta at that time. This was probably 1987. Yeah, around maybe 86, 87. Oh, I'm from Connecticut. Sorry. Yeah, I'm from Connecticut like his dad. But I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And Bridgeport is a rough city. Anybody that been there, they'll know. So when I came at 12 years old, I had never seen anything like it. Never saw people that looked like me driving Mercedes unless they were doing something they shouldn't be doing. I didn't see black doctors. You know, every doctor I had growing up did not look like me. I didn't have a black dentist until I came to Atlanta. You just didn't see it where we were from. And I came here, I was just intrigued by the city, and I knew I wanted to live here. But by the time I graduated high school, I had a whole different mindset. I didn't want to leave my friends. I thought I was going to miss something. And my mother put it plain that, hey, brother, you got to go. You know, you got to do something with your life. I didn't have a plan, honestly. But my parents, their plan for me, I say this all the time, it was like in the Bible, like when they put Moses in a reed basket, it was just like, just get him out of here. Get him away from where he is now and push me down, because I think people at that time, no matter where you lived, if you knew about Atlanta, you thought it can solve your problem. You thought if all he needs to do is get there and he'll come back Dr. King. They'll think, you know, it's the truth. They really believe, you know, that Atlanta was like the cure. And I mean, and the thing that documents it best, around the time I graduated high school, there were two movies out. You know, one movie called Boys in the Hood, another movie called Menace to Society, and both take place in South Central LA in the 80s. And, you know, it's about gangs and drugs and, you know, just people trying to get out of the community. But the people who were trying to leave were trying to get to Atlanta. It was just like a message everybody was getting sent to come here. So when I came, Atlanta did change my life. And I think over a course of time, I started to believe that if you came here with a plan, Atlanta had every resource available to you to, you know, imagine or make your dreams a reality. I just felt like that because I came with no plan, but I hustled. I didn't mind working. I worked hard at anything, no matter what it was. I was determined to survive, and that was, you know, that's my story.
I love that. We're being joined by Bame Joyner and Tory Edwards. I want you to know we are missing a third co-founder. Ian Ford couldn't be here with us, so
his origin story, Brooklyn, New York, came to Atlanta to go to Morehouse, and never went back to Brooklyn, New York. There's more to it than that. He'll speak to that at a point, but yeah.
So tell us the story of how the three of you decided to found Atlanta Influences Everything. Like, what was, you know, to use our theme, what was critical to the three of you about founding this brand and initiative at the time?
So Ian and I, kind of going back to him being from Brooklyn, I met him in 2005 at this agency in Castleberry Hill called GTM, and I was fresh from working at Tower Records right before it closed, and I had a degree in marketing, and so started working with Ian on Al Gore's current TV platform when Al Gore was trying to launch this TV platform, and then went into the Truth campaign. And he and I just connected. I wanted to do like real brand marketing and not just continue to do music street team or like pass out strip club flyers or whatever. So like I wanted to actually work for like brands and you know, we got together, did stuff for Vitamin Water and Heinz Ketchup, and we always would land these multicultural campaigns for Atlanta that were unique from the rest of the Southeast, and we would get them as subcontracts. And so we felt that we had our finger on the pulse of like multicultural 18 to 25, possibly going up to 34 Atlanta. And so we pitched Nike. He and I, we had a friend named Chaos, who came out of Doug High School, very well known in Atlanta, and made it up to Nike corporate in Portland. And they were working on some shoes for the 20th anniversary of the 1996 Olympics, which are these Bo Jackson cross trainers that were to come out in 2016. So Ian and I came up with this idea for like a Willy Wonka type of scavenger hunt, where because these shoes will be coveted, like this golden ticket between Marta and the Beltline, and it's cool scavenger hunt. And we tried to pitch to Nike for experiential marketing campaign. And they told us that they were only going to do 1,996 pair of the shoes. But that was the extent of the marketing, and that in terms of experiential marketing, design agency, those type of dope things, that was, they didn't view Atlanta as a key market at the time, not for the experiential spin. Say we didn't have the Bean like Chicago, and we didn't have, they obviously didn't know Adon's poem at the time. You know what I'm saying? They were saying what we didn't have. And to a certain extent, they were right in some of the stuff they were saying that we didn't have, like LA, New York, or Chicago. And so I didn't know what else to say, but at the time, everybody was doing a little dab, you know what I'm saying? And it was just all over. And all I could say in return was, you know, we might not have these types of things. You know, we got to do better in certain areas, yeah, but all I can tell you, man, we influence everything, bro. Like, that's just what it is. And I didn't know I said it. The Brooklyn business partner heard it and ran it through his Brooklyn meter. You know, realized that he came and never went back. And so he felt there was some truth in it. But he said, and this is post-Detroit versus everybody for context. So everybody was, Detroit versus everybody, or that time where everybody was straight out of somewhere. Remember the summer where everybody was just straight out of anything, you know what I'm saying? Which is a dope campaign. But we wanted something that was uniquely ours and true, and we should put it on a shirt. And this is going to lead to where Tory comes in. We should put it on a shirt, because I think the problem is, coming from Brooklyn, is that I can go anywhere in the world and I can say, yo, where Brooklyn at? Or is Brooklyn in the house? And somebody gonna pop out and be like, yo, we right here. Like, it's a thing. But he said, Atlanta, y'all are very reactionary with your story. You know, the South's got something to say is our rallying cry, but in reality, it's a reactionary statement. It's not proactive. And we were not, and still to this day, have not been proactive with our brand. You know, who are we, and really pushing that on people, because they want it. So it ain't even as much of a push. They just want us to own it. And we knew we needed to tell our story better. Our story wasn't being told. So we mad at Nike, and we felt, yeah, they should have known. But we also had to take, it's two sides in a relationship. So we, as a city, also had to take responsibility to the fact that we weren't telling our narrative well. Tory's a content creator. He saw internally that once we decided that and put it on a shirt, that internally as a company, we weren't telling our story well. It's like a disease. So he jumped in to help us and say, yo, y'all need to tighten up the hatches. Y'all have something here. And I think I can bring it to life via storytelling. And it just became so much more after that, you know.
Tory, I want to throw a question to you, and I want to hear both of your answers on this. Atlanta Influences Everything is a big part of creative community in Atlanta. It's connected to so many different parts of what we mean when we say creative community. Like that could mean people who work on the design side, on the agency side. We've got people that work in music and film and performing arts and production, right? What is critical for Atlanta's creative community? And how is Atlanta Influences Everything wanting to speak to that?
I think if you ask me, Bame and Ian, that question, we're probably gonna have 3 different answers, but we all agree on each other's answers. Bame is probably, I don't want to tell you what, I know what he's gonna say, everyone, but I won't say it. Me, I think storytelling is critical. I think that was the reason why I came to AIE to begin with, because I was in a place where I needed something to, I wanted to create, I wanted to pour some energy into something, I wanted to invest in something. And I saw the t-shirt and I said, yeah. And to me, I saw Atlanta's, my version of what Atlanta Influenced Everything is was really inspired by Humans in New York. Because I felt like, oh, they got all these interesting people. I mean, it's New York City. But Atlanta has some really interesting people. So I think the story of Atlanta and the story of the people who create in Atlanta is critical to owning the narrative. And that mentorship and what Bame's gonna say, I definitely agree on those things.
Bame, what you got? And specifically, when we've talked about this, Bame, you've been familiar with Creative Mornings Atlanta community. We're going to be celebrating 11 years next month. So you've been familiar even with what this chapter has been in the community. I want to hear your thoughts about what's critical for Atlanta's creative economy, and also what do you think the community of people here and that are watching virtually, what can Creative Mornings Atlanta do to better help or support what we all are hoping we can build in our community here in Atlanta?
This is like my 10-year anniversary with Creative Mornings. I came to my first one 10 years ago, and I didn't find out from Creative Mornings. I was working on a project to go to Stockholm and was doing some research on the art scene in Stockholm, and came across this website, Swiss Miss, which was a sponsor early on, I don't know if still are, of launching Creative Mornings. It kind of comes out of this Swiss Miss thing. And it was just a dope, I'm like, okay. And I saw there was Atlanta, and there were only maybe 20 chapters or something at that time. So it's amazing growth. And the idea was amazing. And so, shout out to Blake Howard and the Matchstick crew. That's my guy, yo. We had many powwows, and the many people, George Gomez, Chrissy Gomez, people, Kyle Stapleton, people who, and really shout out Molly and William Massey. Molly used to work with Blake and do this, and William Massey, who did one of the best Creative Mornings talks that I've seen. I guess he wooed Molly with that talk, and they ended up getting married and just had a baby. Blessings to the masses, yo. So the importance of Creative Mornings, consistent convening of people who identify as a thing called creative. So it didn't say design, even though it's taken on a heavy design slant, an agency kind of model, but it's anybody who identifies as a creative. And moving forward, the mayor's race a few years ago, the one that Mayor Bottoms was in, I was on this committee called, or I wasn't on the committee at the time, but I attended a thing called the Mayoral Forum for the Arts. And it was held at Woodruff Arts Center on a Monday. And this was the arts community that was involved in arts policy. And they did that on a Monday evening. Creative Mornings was that Friday morning of that week. And I ran into Blake and said, yo, and I saw a couple Creative Mornings people, only a couple at the Mayoral Forum for the Arts. But when I asked him if he knew about the Mayoral Forum for the Arts that took place on Monday, he said no, but I would have liked to have known because, you know, at Creative Mornings, this is who we say we are. We want to be civically engaged as creatives. But he had no idea that the Mayoral Forum for the Arts was going on. And each could have used the other. And so what has happened is the transient nature of Atlanta over a period of time with the lack of storytelling has made Atlanta kind of look almost like my company, have a story of coming up like my company did, and a company where one partner is from Atlanta and the other two are transient. And so that is what is happening in Atlanta, and Creative Mornings and a myriad of other things are doing what they're supposed to do, but the Atlanta Public School, Atlanta, I don't know how many of y'all know, I mean, it's become a thing that, you know, I don't know too many natives, you know, it's like a cool thing to say in Atlanta, like, oh, wow, it's a native, it's like it's a joke, you know. And so the place that influences everything, because of the lack of intentionality in cross-cultural and cross-sector convening, is also number one in income inequality with a 4% upward mobility rate. But we influence everything. So like, what's going on here? So it's very critical right now at this juncture for the creative class to step up and be more engaged, but also more so for the public and private sector to stop treating the creative class like talent and start using these dope ass superpowers that these folks got out here. It's some dope ass people in Atlanta doing some wild stuff, yo. And when you look at the city and you look at the business community, they'll be like, yo, we really want to do this or whatever. But they'll be like, and no disrespect to Invest Atlanta, but instead of like tapping your energy and say, hey, let's develop something together, they'll hit you, be like, yo, we got a loan for you. Yeah, we need this loan, but certain folks out here getting money, they don't really need the loan, they need the look. You know what I'm saying? And the city could benefit from these looks that these creatives are doing, but no one from here is gonna beg a city that they not from to like pay attention to their dope stuff. They just gonna continue to do it. And so years of that behavior has created silos amongst the creative community itself, but has allowed the establishment, which is the public sector and the private sector, to engage the creative community more so on a like, well, I hit you when I need some art or when I need somebody to dance for me. But other than that, we finna build these buildings, we'll holler at you later. And so, but if we move in the culture and we are, like, why is the relationship so one-sided? Why is it not more collaborative? And this is a critical juncture as we have landed the World Cup for everybody to kind of at least use that. If we can't get together on nothing else, because we beef about all type of stuff. Again, Amaretta, the line is drawn in the sand on a lot of levels. So one thing we can agree on, though, is this big ass thing is coming here, yo. The world is coming here. And it's on us on how we engage that and how we leverage that for our companies, our businesses, and our families. This is a legacy play that's coming here. If y'all weren't here during the Olympics, this is that, yo. So, and this is a critical moment for that. I don't know what happens on the other end of 26.
Yeah, so good. I'm gonna ask one last question, then we're gonna open up to the floor. If you have any questions for Bame or Tory. Tory, I wanna close with you. What's the future for Atlanta Influences Everything? Many of us first, like you mentioned, Bame, we first encountered this brand on a t-shirt, on a hat, but there's more to Atlanta Influences Everything than the merch, even though the merch is super very cool, like super, super cool. So talk to us, what's the future for Atlanta Influences Everything?
I think the future for Atlanta influences everything is storytelling. Do a whole lot of storytelling around Atlanta, um, and I think reaching back and doing our best to you know build to one Bane's point, the creative class and the kids that are coming behind us. Atlanta's been churning out talent. I mean, I got here in the '90s, so I saw pre-Olympic Atlanta. And the culture, in my opinion, got it to where it was. Nobody, you didn't have Fortune 500 companies wanting to move here. Now there's a beeline. Everybody's coming, setting up shop in Atlanta. But ultimately, it's the culture that did it, in my opinion. So I think we'll do what we can to make sure that the creative class of the future has a better chance than we had, and they understand their value, and they're able to punch into these resources and do what we can to expose kids to creative careers. That's really one of our main missions, because growing up, I didn't know nothing about agencies. We got invited to where was it? Fitz and Co. one day. We spoke over there, but we used to go hang out over there with Noel a lot. And when I first walked in, I was like, people getting paid to do this? They had work wearing Jordans and got a coffee shop, right? It was crazy. And most kids coming out of the ghetto or out the hood, you don't know that you can get paid six figures and wear Jordans at the same time. They don't know. So I think that's our responsibility to build that up, and that's what we'll be doing with have a nonprofit called New Leaders, a program called Careers of Tomorrow that we're going to invest heavily in. So I think you'll see Atlanta Influences Everything around for a while, but doing what we can to elevate creatives of the future.
Let's open up for questions. I've got one question from our virtual folks. When was the moment it hit you that your brand was making a greater impact beyond apparel?
Yeah, I have a couple of those, actually. During the pandemic, when Ann called us up, and Ann knows I don't get excited about nothing but food distribution. Yeah, I was happy about that. The Braves partnered with us, and our friend Howard Kepka, shout out to him, man. Rest in peace. He passed away of COVID, but he taught us about food distribution, man. That it touches me. So I think that, man, getting out every Thursday amongst the people with masks on and giving away. We probably gave around a quarter ton of food to underserved communities every week, out of our own pocket. And then Howard was like, "Hey, you guys are paying for this stuff?" We like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's not how you do it. You gotta go broke." But yeah, that and the mural, the Atlanta United, commissioning a mural. I didn't want it. I didn't want my face on it, but I'm comfortable with it now. My mother saw it, she cried and was like, "It looks just like you." She's like, "He's a genius, this guy." So yeah, those things.
And then, again, it's a city of transients, and so everybody, unlike the other transient cities like LA and New York, it's almost like you have to become those cities to survive there. But in Atlanta, one of the reasons why the city works in the kind of way it does, for better or worse, is you don't necessarily have to become an Atlantan to live here. You just do you, And now if you're trying to do extra stuff like run for office or, you got to say y'all and, ask how folks' families is doing before you get into business. Other than that, you don't have to do that, And with that said, the shirt's ability to convene all of this randomness, and we've been told by the agencies whose job it is to do the convening with branding that, hey man, you guys got it right now, yo. You're like, we gonna figure something out. But from the culture and our creative friends and people who immediately understood the shirt first, Gucci Mane running on the belt line, but then, when it makes it to Mayor Bottoms and things like that. But normally when you get auntie them, or if it's viewed as an urban line, which that's your own feeling if that's what you feel. It is a variety of things. But normally people, once you get one group, you lose another sometimes. But dope brands are able to kind of give everybody a piece of something. And so from the auntie to the culture to the corporate space, to Ann Kramer, and Terry Kearns, you know what I'm saying? Like, once they all wore it too with Gucci, it's like, yo, we doing something. All these different types of people don't even know each other, but they at least agree on this, So, yeah.
Yeah. Questions in the room here?
A lot of times when we see t-shirt, well, I don't call it a t-shirt company, I'll bring y'all more than that, but like, we see messages get promoted on t-shirts, a lot of times, and the message catches on, it gets diluted over time, it gets poured out, it kind of starts to lose this impact. So I want to know, like, what thought do y'all put into, protecting the integrity of the message so that it doesn't happen? And also, I'm curious to know, like, I see that y'all expanded with, having other things, like I see this one right here with the voting influences, everything, and all that kind of stuff. I want to know what goes into deciding what you want to actually attach it to. Because y'all can easily be like, Chick-fil-A influences everything. Other people will let you be like, Florida influences everything. So I just would like to get your thoughts on those.
I'm going to repeat the question for our virtual folks. I know I got the first part, but you might have to help me with the second part. The first part was, what do you do to protect the brand or the story of the brand? Yes.
And what goes into our collaborative.
And what goes into the collaborative process. See, and we just collaborated. I feel powerful.
I'll say this. From the very beginning, me coming out of, I used to promote parties. And one thing I understand is the people who are like the face of Atlanta to the world, like rappers and stuff like that. I knew that if we tried to, hey, could you wear this? To them, it's like, oh, this is cool. And 6 months from now, you're like, man, I ain't wearing that. That's old. So what we did was we gave it purpose. We gave it a mission. We made it about the people who actually create in the city. And that's what we really wanted to speak to. It was about the people who were either creators or entrepreneurs. And that was our focus. And, just real life people. And it trickled down. Like you said, you wake up one day and Gucci Man is running on the belt line with the shirt on. And then you wake up another day and Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, who's from Atlanta, a friend of mine is like a mentor to him. He saw the shirt, went online, bought a bunch of stuff, didn't try to connect with us and ask us for anything. And next thing you know, he's on ESPN wearing it, and they're interviewing the Celtics the night they were playing LeBron in the playoffs. So that was huge. I woke up with like 30 screenshots in my inbox, like, yo, look, yo. So, I think those things happen because it was organic and because it's true. Why don't you see Toledo influences everything? Because they don't. I mean, shout out to Toledo, but you don't do it. When it comes to protecting the brand and the partnerships, it's what feels right. I mean, the funny thing about us is we're civic-minded creators, but also I watch a dollar, and Ian is worse. Ian makes sure that he he keeps track of, you know, how we're doing in that area. But everybody calls us about, hey, how about granddad's influence everything? No. So you got to do what feels right. And I'm saying that in jest, but some people that are public figures say, hey, let's do whatever influences everything. We're like, nah. So we're a creative consulting agency, so we'll get with them and try to craft something that's more authentic. But I think with them, to Ian's point, is people reach out to us for street cred or to be cool. And that's corny. Like, so you gotta, you know, if we sit down and we talk, we can consult you on what we think will connect best with the people.
Yeah, because it's obviously in you, not on you. You know what I'm saying? But we do want you to buy it, though. You know what I'm saying? But with that said, we've done some good stuff with like Lululemon. The Your Vote Influences Everything. It was white with the black. We got other color shirts, but we obviously needed to keep that one kind of in the middle. And when we created it, it was a moment where, yeah, everybody wanted maybe a particular thing, but what we knew was folks needed to vote. And is there any lie in that statement of the vote influences everything? So that made it cool. And one of the most recent, from a creative standpoint, like I know it's Creative Mornings, so you design folks and copy, is like from a copy standpoint, we were approached by the Atlanta Dream. Man, Renee and Moore, I love the Atlanta Dream. They're just some of the best people to work with. But they wanted to do a shirt, you know, the Atlanta Dream, Atlanta Influences Everything. And the front of the shirt, instead of saying the Atlanta Dream influences everything, we did Atlanta is the dream. And then on the back it said, and the dream influences everything. So from a creative process, instead of just removing Atlanta and just placing whatever, like hopefully you got a creative team and our teams can work together and come up with something unique to what you got going on, but that still shows the true collaborative effort of the brands.
Love that so much. I'm gonna take, did I have? You go home. Okay, I'm going 2 more questions, then I'm gonna go. Yes.
It's great to hear you guys talk about how this started. I'm wearing Your Vote Influences Everything, and that's when I originally found out about you guys. I was like, who's making these? I was like at a market in West End, and it was really the most opportune time because it was right before the 2020 election, and like Atlanta was in international news. Everybody was watching us. How do you see your agency getting involved in this upcoming election, or do you see that at all in terms of getting the vote out?
Question is, how do y'all see your agency getting involved in the upcoming elections?
We have a meeting about that actually at noon. Which is crazy. Yeah, so I could tell you at 2 o'clock. But we're interested. We definitely want to be impactful.
Good. Last question.
Yeah, so I know you don't, but outside of that, we hear a lot about the big companies you guys work for and work with. But for me in particular, you know, I'm always hyper-local and involved in community. So how does the community of Atlanta engage Atlanta Influence Everything for, you know, the sake of, you know, the 256 neighborhoods, or that personal, intimate feel that makes Atlanta Influence Everything? How does the little people of Atlanta, not the corporate, engage that?
Question is, how does Atlanta Influences Everything not just engage in sort of big corporate brands, but also in a lot of the local kind of organic things that are happening in the city, in the neighborhoods as well?
So when we created the brand, no one was full time. So I was working at this place, the Center for Civic Innovation, with the homie Dale Bennett. Shout out to Rohit. And I learned policy. I learned how the nonprofit and foundation and social impact and how that space works. But I identify as a creative, so I took all this like nerdy policy stuff and processed it as a creative. And by nature of just being I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur, so I wasn't very good at it. I just wanted to work in the creative industries for someone, actually, and then maybe do my own thing later. And there was no infrastructure to plug into, and so instead of being angry, I wanted to help younger folks plug into infrastructure, but that would take policy. And so from I knew we had to have policymakers on board that would buy into, and I stopped using creative language. That's what I learned at